As we have understood that purpose is life and life is purpose, life can have a purpose only if it is along with the source code of life which helps every living being on earth, which helps the oxygen and the water. We understand even oxygen is water. That's part oxygen and hydrogen, which makes water. Apart from this, all other life systems must be enhanced by our small speck of life which is given to us during our time on earth, within our earthly bodies. Then our soul will have a meaning in the yesterday, today and tomorrow, as we understand. We must also know that our purpose cannot be our immediate family, it cannot be our children, it cannot be our closest friends, because that kind of purpose is an extension of yourself, of ourselves. Our purpose must be along with the source code of life, the truth of the universe, and the essence of goodness of the universe which sustains life for all beings, the smallest children on the earth today and into the future. By doing so, by getting into fields of work, by generating new ideas which will help prosper the future generations along with the energies of the earth which sustain life, then we bring meaning to our present, yesterday and tomorrow. The last day of our lives will not be for our carnal desires alone and die with us if we pursue our carnal desires with no meaning, but with a purpose, with the universal source code of life which sustains future generations. Our lives will have a meaning, as we understand, the yesterday, today and tomorrow, which is the source code of life for the universe. We must understand that purpose is life and life is purpose. Anything done for the human flesh alone or for the carnal desires alone is no purpose. Anything done with the so-called dark energy, which many people believe in, which many of us believe in, that we are driven by some dark energy, which is absolutely foolishness and nothing else, if we really go into the deep meaning of things. Everything vibrates on earth. The earth has life because there's a life-giving force which is sustaining our breathing, our oxygen, our water, the rains, the trees, the seas, the ocean currents, the seasons, the revolution of the planets along its orbits. There's a greater intelligence at work, and it's working with the source code of life of the universe. And any vibration against the source code of life of the universe, and if you call it dark force, it's completely foolishness because it's an all-encompassing energy. Nothing can vibrate against the source code of the universe. There are stars which vibrate sometimes against the source code of the universe, and then it starts to blink and disappear and become one with the source code of the universe. So that will be the end game of anything that works against the vibration of the universe which sustains life for every living being on earth as well as within the universe. Terming it as dark force because of our foolishness in terms of trying to do things against the energies of the earth, the universe which sustain life, is nothing but an insult to the mind which is given by the source code of life which makes us humans, which makes us different from all species of life. The reason that we are humans is because we are with the source code of creativity. We have creativity in small forms. As long as we can access that with a clear definition that our lives will be helpful for the future generations, and in doing so our present lives on earth will be blessed. Once we have that clear understanding, we will move into abundance. We will be grateful for the smallest gifts of nature, which includes oxygen, water, the beautiful breeze that we see, the flowers that we see as we walk, the trees, the energy systems of the universe, which includes gravity, as we mentioned before. When you're moving in the seas, we'll appreciate the waves, which is powered by the energy of the universe. We will appreciate the beautiful life within the sea, within the oceans, which is not accessible to humans as of now, but which we can enjoy in small degrees by watching it on social media, television, or any other source of information. We will come to appreciate the smallest gifts of life, and in doing so, we will move into abundance. And abundance is a byproduct of accepting and being thankful from the heart, soul, and mind. By being one with the source code of life in small degrees in our understanding of humanity, by working for the future generations and being blessed in the present, let's replenish our earth. We must also understand that it is the greatest insult to us species of humans if we are moving about just like any other life species on earth, which is for the carnal desires alone. If you're moving and if we are living a life which is only for the sake of our flesh, of the human body, and of the immediate needs or immediate gains, without being considerate of other beings and the greater energies of life, then we must understand it's the greatest insult to the gift of creativity which makes us human from the source code of life. The only meaning we can have as humans working on earth with the spirit of humanity is to tap into the source code of life, which makes creativity happen, which brings new ideas, which works along with the source code of the oxygen that we breathe, which keeps us alive, which is also a part of the water. Let's replenish our earth. Let's understand that philosophy of life, philosophy of instinct, the basic instinct, philosophy of our attitude towards our life, our society, our environment, our family, our world, is based on the neuron connections within our mind. And these neuron connections within our mind have formed over maybe thousands of years. And those neuron connections are embedded within those different biological features which make up a brain. The brain is all about connections of the neurons. Just like the connections of a tiger makes the instincts of a tiger work along with the muscle and all of the physical attributes of a tiger or any other living species, which includes the bison or even the chicken or the rat or even a deer or a bear. The instincts of animals along with humans are built over the philosophy of life. The philosophy of life for a tiger or for a jaguar or bison, and especially a tiger, if you look into the carnivorous side, is to get food as fast as possible and also quality food. The tiger usually does not feed on old meat. The same thing with the bison, it requires high quality grass, so it goes looking for it. But humans have the ability to change the neurons, to help move the neurons along with the identity which makes humans known as humans. And what is that identity which makes humans be known as humans? The only difference from other species of life, which includes any kind of tiger, bison, or any kind of species of life, is our ability to create along with the source code of life. The tiny difference in the chromosome has made humans be able to create new inventions, creations, mostly towards the good side, which is helpful for humans. Also, humans have developed ideas which are on the negative side, which can also lead to the destruction of oneself and for the race. But we are lucky that the human species have, by and large, moved their neurons with a distinct factor which makes us humans, which is one with the creative abilities of the source code of life. Of all of the life species that we see around us, which enables all of the life species, which includes the water, the oxygen, and all of the life systems, work in rhythm. If there was no sunlight for a period of time, no water, no oxygen, there will not be life. So these are systems of life at work. In every second, we are breathing in oxygen. Every second, all of our cells in our body is being powered by the electricity of the universe, if you like it or not. The energy of the universe powers us. And once we fail to recognize that particular trait which keeps us alive, which keeps us in the motion of the energies of the universe, in the blessings of eternal life, in terms of the creation of our earth, the universe, the only meaning that we can bring for our lives is to have a meaning for the future generations. And in having a meaning for the future generations, by working in fields which help generate ideas to help the future generation breathe better systems of life, which includes air, water, and everything else, we are in turn blessing our own lives on earth and all of our children and the future generations. Let's replenish our earth. There was a group of people who went on an expedition within the forest around 300 years into the future. 300 years into the future, our expedition to the forest included all kinds of gears and all kinds of implements and ability to move. They had gears which kind of protected the body, the legs, and the human form was also a machine form by which they could move into the forest with ease. Just like the wild animals, just like the jaguar or the tiger or any kind of animal which moves very easily in the jungle. The expedition team had all of the gears which made it very easy for them. If they wanted to run, they had equipments and implements which made them glide and move within the forest. The terrain of the forest did not matter to them. So they went on an expedition deep into the Amazon jungle. And when they went deep into the Amazon jungle, they had satellite GPS guiding them also. They had the ability and jackets and infrastructure of traveling within the jungle, which included a kind of helicopter which could take off if they found the terrain tough. They just needed an open space and then they could take off and then again glide back into an area which was again easy to move on the ground for the exploration. And while they were on exploration, they saw so many animals. They saw the jaguar and they were able to move with the jaguar to the place of the jaguar. But they did not want to disturb the jaguar. But they were able to study the jaguar as to how the jaguar lived and the most intimate parts of life of a jaguar, which we do not understand now. They also understood other animals, which included even the deers or the bear or the tiger or the bison But what was most important is when they were moving towards the jungle and when they used to meet such animals, it will not be in human contact. They did not make a human contact as such. They had implements by which they could study these animals in a more precise way, in a more intimate way, but which did not disturb them, which does not disturb their animal habitat. And one of the greatest knowledge which humans had even at that time was these animals were the same around 1,000,000 years ago also, with a little bit of modification in their evolution. But they were kind of the same, even 300 years into the future. It was only humans which had evolved, it was only humans which had all of the implements and the ability to move into the forest at ease. And with technology, they had all kinds of knowledge about these animals. But the animals were by themselves. Their primary focus was about their survival and a good life for themselves, which include the best of food and the best of place for them to survive, or a small territory for themselves. Humans had evolved and constructed and implemented so many different ways to move into different spaces. They had all the equipment, they had the technology, but these animals remained the same, and humans respected that also into the future. The expedition team went into the jungle. They traveled more than 100 kilometers within the jungle over a period of 5 days. Today, if you want to take an expedition into the jungle or the Amazon jungle, first of all, it's quite dangerous, and you cannot move in the jungle at a right space. Even though we have all the equipments, maybe the right kind of footwear and stuff, but still it's going to be tough. But 300 years into the future, it was quite easy for them, because all kinds of devices were there to move. And the expedition team returned with a joyous note. They had a wonderful experience in the jungle. They had seen some of the most beautiful animals, which were kind of the same even 1,000,000 years back and into the future. They were able to understand them on a very intimate way, although they did not encroach into their space. The animals did not know that the humans were there. Those implements were such that they could conceal themselves and move about, and they had a wonderful time in the jungle. The problem today is that we do not have such infrastructure which will be available into the future. Today's expedition will involve a lot of tough walk within the jungle. The most important footwear, the most important implements to clear the pathways, and thereby still there's danger prevailing. But the forest, as we understand, is a part of our human survival, is a part of human goodness. The forests of the world are the oxygen or the lungs of the world, which provides oxygen for humanity and every life species. And 300 years into the future, people have respected that understanding that the forests are vital for Earth's well-being. And they've maintained forests in different areas within their country. Those forests thrive with the best of wildlife. With technology enhanced by humans, they're able to provide a better quality of natural lifestyle for the animals. And when the forests and the animals, along with the birds, have a wonderful time with the energies of the earth, and they are satisfied with the natural habitat, humans in turn are being blessed, because the energies of the earth is what sustains every living being on earth. And with that respect for the natural wildlife, The expedition team had the greatest of respect for those animals, which were the same even 1,000 years back or 1,000,000 years back, and also into the future. The respect for the natural goodness of our earth, for the mountains, for the trees, the forest, the rivers, the lakes, and the seasons which bring abundance because of the natural systems of the earth, because of the forests. We should know that everything is a chain, which is very important. If there is a good forest range, if there is a good tree, expanse of trees in the world, it provides the best of oxygen, it provides the best of rains across the world. And 300 years into the future, humans were also able to control the weather to some extent because of technology, because of deep learning, because of the quantum computers being one with humans. But it had only meaning because humans had evolved with the natural energies of the earth which sustain life into the future. For the future children, for the future child, the unborn child, and every living system on earth. Let's replenish our earth. 7 birds into the future: the eagle, the sparrow, the dove, the duck, and 3 other birds took flight. And this was 700 years into the future. Humans had evolved with the fastest of speeds, with the greatest of technology, with the most advanced of supercomputers and chips. But to the birds, they did not have any kind of technology. They were more interested in flying and gliding within the sky. Getting the food at the right time was the only concern. Humans were into all kinds of technology. They were evolved along with humanoids, along with robotic infrastructure within every human. But to the birds, they were still birds, which were the same around 1,000,000 years back. But they were in a space of technology which was completely different from the lifestyle. But because humans had evolved with the energies of the earth, which sustained life, humans had maintained spaces for the birds to live and thrive and evolve and enjoy their lives, because the technologies helped have natural vegetation, have the best of forests, have the best of green lands, green spaces for the birds. There were much more birds. There were colorful birds flying all across into the future. This will be the greatest reward which we will have if we move our technologies along with the energies of the earth which sustain life, which creates the best of living spaces, not just for humans, along with nature, along with the best of flowers, along with the best of gardens, along with the best of trees, forests, but also for the birds, who will have a wonderful living space with the greatest of technology. The technology will not matter to the birds. All the birds would be concerned about will be the best of trees, the best of fruit-bearing trees, which can pollinate the flowers. The birds can pollinate the flowers and create much better fruit-bearing trees. The best of birds might come into living spaces within the apartments. You can have free, beautiful birds flying around within the city, which also becomes very friendly with humans, because humans have created the best of spaces to live and thrive along with nature. Let's replenish our earth. We must understand that a ship is a ship because it carries a lot of weight, and a ship which is used by humans, and a ship which is kind of like a cruise, is also a floating kind of city. Now, if you want the fastest speeds of transport by the sea, one of the major hurdles of the sea is the friction of the waves and the friction of the wind which might blow against the ship. These are the only two hurdles which a boat or a ship or any kind of transport which wants to carry our fellow men, our human fellow men, to the greatest distance at the fastest speeds. The two contributing factors to slowing down the speed, to the consumption of fuel, is the friction of the wind and the friction of the waves. Now, into the future, we will have transport systems within the sea. We must understand that the sea is a space which does not have much blockages like the earth, which includes hills, which includes man-made buildings, which includes arid desert spaces. Once we can conquer both these factors, which includes the friction of the waves and the pressure of the winds, we will be able to travel at the fastest speeds without any major obstruction to reach the desired areas. And into the future, with the use of quantum computers and the latest technology and deep learning, we will have devised ships which carry humans and not so heavy transport to avoid friction and to avoid the winds. The friction of the waves will be avoided and the winds will be conditioned so that it can help the ship move much faster. We might draw the energy from the oncoming winds and help the ship move much faster. And we might have a system by which we will avoid the waves and move at a height from those waves which might affect the movement of the ships. But it's up to the quantum computers, it's up to the deep learning to give us the best source of travel. And as we understand today, the sea is a space by which we can use for the fastest transport apart from air travel. Now you might ask, what's the point of traveling at the fastest speeds on the sea while you can travel by air? The other question of this will be, when you're traveling by sea, you can carry enormous amounts of loads. You see the biggest of ships, it can carry the highest weights, which can involve 10,000 and more tons. And if there's a technology which avoids the friction of the waves with the load, it will be one of the greatest technologies to carry heavy loads, heavy transport systems, heavy export goods, most important infrastructure across the sea. Apart from human travel for pleasure of the sea, the pleasure of the winds while traveling in the sea, if you can make it safe, it will be one of the greatest additions to the transport systems of the future. And that is what our technologies of the future will bring. It will bring the fastest systems of transport in the sea. It will bring the most heaviest systems of transport to be transferred at the most fastest space within the sea. And these technologies will only have sense when we move with the energies of the earth which sustain life. Let's replenish our earth. One of the other advantages of the future of travel on the sea is, as we mentioned, the highest of speeds which can be achieved by technology, and also the highest of weights which can be transported across the sea at the fastest speeds with the technologies of the future, and also for travel and tourism. We can move at the fastest speeds to new destinations within the sea, which does not explode, and also stop at places. Now, if you want to do that with an aircraft, you need a lot of fuel just to stop in a particular area within the airspace. But on the sea, you do not need much fuel because the sea will help support the ship or the fastest systems. And for travel and tourism, you need places where you can stop, maybe for the next 1 or 2 hours, and enjoy the landscape, the dolphins, the whales, the fish, the islands, the coral reefs. So these will be the advantages of travel into the future in terms of sea travel. 300 years into the future, 3 people took a flight from the US to the farthest part of the next country in the world, very close to New Zealand. And the flight from US New York to New Zealand, Auckland, and the associated islands was just within 30 minutes. The flights as of now take more than 12 hours. But there's a new system of travel which helped the aircraft move into space, and without friction and any kind of gravity within space, they were able to move into the greatest speeds in space and then return back to Earth. Within a matter of 30 minutes, they could cover such vast distances. Now, as we mentioned before, this will be the system of travel into the future. And we understand that once we move into space, it's all about technology. And there is no friction, there's no gravity. There is absolute space to move into the greatest speeds. Now, we also understand that all of these technologies into the future will have meaning only if we work with the energies of the earth which sustain life. Any kind of technology, be defense or the greatest advancement, can only have meaning with the energies of the earth which sustain life. Just imagine if there was any kind of technology which was working against the energies of the earth which sustain life. It would mean that there is no future for the future generations of humans, which includes our smallest children and the children of the future and the unborn child. Or any kind of technology which works against the basic systems of life, which includes the oxygen and the water, which is the basics of sustenance for humans on earth. The quality of the oxygen and the water is the basics. It's the ground basic. It's the ground foundation of humans to live, thrive, survive, and prosper into the future. So we cannot have any kind of system, any kind of energy, any kind of technology working against the energies of the earth which sustain life. So the greatest speeds by which the aircraft traveled and the 3 people traveled from New York to New Zealand was one with the energies of the earth which sustain life. The speeds were made so that it does not pollute the atmosphere. As of now, we also recognize that most of the aircraft have a lot of emissions, and it's one of the greatest contributors for greenhouse gases. But the technologies into the future will be so that it will not have any kind of big contributing factor towards the heating up of the earth through greenhouse gases as we see today. Once we move into space, we will be able to travel at the fastest time, and that will be one of the greatest spaces for us to move at the fastest speeds and avoid combustion of fossil fuels, or the petrol or the diesel or any kind of fuel that we see. We will be able to take in electricity from the sun. We will be able to draw in some of the electricity from the sun, from the wind, from the oceans, from the ocean currents. These will all be possibilities by which we avoid polluting the earth. And by avoiding polluting the earth, we would also prosper the earth, prosper all life forms, and also have the greatest speeds. And the technologies will evolve with nature, with the source code of life, which sustains all beings on earth. Let's replenish our earth. Lightning is a powerful force of the universe, a powerful force of nature, which reminds us that there is electricity within the clouds. When heavy clouds laden with water and with energies opposite to each other clash, we understand there's lightning. Lightning can be in different degrees. It can be extremely powerful, by which it kind of engulfs trees, or also in inhabitable places. It can cause a lot of problems for the electrical lines and also for houses or buildings and apartments. But then, even the greatest of electrical currents by the elements of the earth is contained by a lightning rod. If you have a lightning rod at the right place within an apartment, within the highest of buildings on earth, that rod conducts the electricity towards the earth. It brings the greatest of force of the lightning back into the earth, which we call as earthing. And the earth absorbs the energy of the lightning. It does not matter how big the lightning is, how fierce the lightning is, how thunderous the lightning is. As long as it is conducted properly with the right circuits into the earth absorbs it. Such is the power of nature. Sometimes we will have the greatest of lightning storms in our lives. But if you know how to navigate those storms, if you're equipped with the energies of the earth which sustain life, the godly force, once you're with the source code of life, you will be able to conduct the greatest of lightnings on earth, which comes into your life. And the earth will help you, sustain you, and help you prosper. No matter what problem, you are working towards the purpose of the future generations while you're working with the energies of the earth. And thereby, our lives on earth is a blessing, and into the future. Let's replenish our earth. Around 25,000 years back, the wealth was the blessings of nature, and the more people could acquire the blessings of nature in terms of the land, the trees, the cultivation, the flowers, the plants, and the basic land area, which was along with the energies of the earth which sustain life, it had more value. And also the animals which is associated with the land, which included the goats, the sheep, the livestock as we see today. But in those times, the livestock was in the initial phases of domestication. They were not livestock as we see today, and as we have mentioned before, they were assistive and friendly along with the people of those times. The animals thrived along with humans along those times. Although humans might have used the animals which were domesticated, The animals also had a good time along with nature. The cows were grazing in the fields. They had huge areas which might be equal to 100 kilometers as of today. They had horses within those farms, which they had again domesticated to in the initial phases, by which they could move the animals within the farm, which is also happening today. Today we have some of the latest equipments, which includes farm helicopters in some of the advanced nations to check the animals' feeding patterns. We have implements to irrigate on a very large scale crops, maize, rice, wheat, and any kind of products. But in those times, 25,000 years ago, the wealth was exclusively the gifts of nature, which included the farmland, and as we mentioned, there was a family which owned a wide stretch of land, and this land had mountains, streams, rivers, and also animals which they had domesticated in the initial phases, which included cows and goats, sheep, and all of the animals which we see today as our domesticated pets. But in those times they were more friendly to the family who was living there. The family, along with the animals, had a good time. The family was dependent on the animals for all of the products. There was nothing else to be traded other than the gifts of nature, and also the gifts which were associated with the animals, which included the milk, the manure for the plants which grew in abundance, the manure for the cultivation which was in the initial phases, which grew in abundance for the family. And the only process by which they could thrive and prosper was to do barter trade. Now they used to exchange the best of animals for other products, maybe house construction products according to those times, which included the best of thatched roof, the best of wood, the best of lighting system, not as we see today, which was electrical, but which was made of equipments during those times, which included maybe a kind of animal oil and the associated light, which was made into a lantern in the technology of those times. The family thrived with the animals, but on one such occasion, there were a group of lions which moved into the territory. Till then, for more than 7 to 8 years, the family did not have trouble. But since it was a very large area, it was around 100 acres, the lions had moved into their territory. But the family, along with their associate, had horses. They had the equipments to manage predators, because they had heard from other tribes, they had heard from other families who they had associated with, that there were predators also. So then, this family, along with their associates and helpers, dug a trench along the stretch of their farmland which they needed, which was within 10 kilometers, because they could not access more areas than that. And the lions were outside their territory, outside the trench. Then, over a period of time, they found an idea that the lions also could be a part of their family, but which was exclusive from their territory. The lions also could thrive and evolve within an area within the farmland, and because the humans had a sense of purpose, they kind of carved out an area for the lions so that they would not move into the territory where the domesticated animals were. And the lions had their own territory, and they could move out into the forest also, and then again visit back whenever they wanted. Over a period of time, the lions also got friendly. The family, along with the associates, did not think of attacking the lions because of their mindset along with the source code of creation. They came up with an idea so that the lions also could be kind of friendly to them. Not as enemies, they carved out a small territory for them within their farmland so that they couldn't come into the enclosure of the domesticated animals, the cows, the goats, the sheep, the livestock, the cultivation which the family and their associates had had. The lions also were happy at some point of time. Now there was a storm brewing. A large storm during those times was very dangerous. It's not like the storms that we see today which we can predict. A storm suddenly blew into the place where the family and their associates had stayed. The houses were swept away. It was such a fierce storm. The animals started running haywire. Some of the animals ran into the trenches and fell. After the big storm had passed, the entire area was kind of in a disarray. The farmland which they developed along with the cultivation, along with the nature, along with the crops, had kind of completely been destroyed in some sense. The family was heartbroken, but because of their trust in the energy of life, the source code of God, the life of our planet, the energy which sustains all life, they had that trust in the universal force, and they made it a point that that kind of destruction during that time was a opportunity from the universal force to make the farm even better. So they, along with the associates, again started developing their farmland, and this time they constructed their houses with stones and granite, and for some of the first materials of construction which were strong, which could withstand the highest winds, were kind of developed by this family and their associates during those times. The first products of cement which we use today, but which was not exactly cement, but which the mixture which could withstand the highest of storms, were constructed by this family and their associates. They constructed an area within the farmland by which the highest of winds, the fiercest of winds, could not affect the farmland. They had areas segregated for the animals, the cows, goats, the sheep, the entire livestock as we see today, but who were assistive in their growth with the energies of the earth. They made sure they were also protected. They devised a system of agriculture by which they would not cultivate during higher storms. They cultivated plants and small plants which could withstand the storms, which was not a barrier to the storms. And they got into a better system of living along with nature. Such should be our understanding today also. Be it the highest of storms, be it the fiercest of natural forces, we must devise ways by which we can use the energies of the earth with the source code of life. Sometimes even the fiercest of storms can be an opportunity for us to develop ourselves better. As we see in the Netherlands, as we understand, most of Netherlands is much below the sea level, especially the area around Amsterdam. But because of their ingenuity and because of their mind in sync with the energies of the earth which sustain life, they were able to devise systems around Amsterdam, around Netherlands, around Holland, by which, even though the area is below the sea level, They find that they're using the seawater, they're filtering the seawater and using it as ponds, as waterways. And they've devised a system by which the entire city can be safe. So into the future, no matter how grave the energies of the earth will be, with the deepest of learning, with the advanced of chips, the quantum computers, we will be able to disperse the energies of the earth when it is at big force in certain areas of the earth. The biggest of storm can be dispersed into areas which does not affect humans. We might be able to take the energies of some storms. We might be able to use the energies of the floods and direct it to rivers, direct it to places where they need water. As we see today, the biggest of floods on earth have been to an extent man-made, because barriers have been created for river flows. When the river is flowing in certain areas, humans have created certain barriers, and it has led to a kind of imbalance. Now, I'm not saying every natural disaster is human-made, but as we understand, a lot of natural disasters is because of human greed to some extent. We're doing things only for ourselves without being considerate about nature. And nature sometimes balances it out. But into the future, we will have understanding, we will have the deep knowledge of deep learning, of the greatest systems of advanced AI as we call today. But if we are moving along with the energies of the earth with sustained life into the future, it is no longer AI, it is the wisdom of the universal force which will empower our quantum computers to give us the knowledge to control the worst of floods around the world. The greatest of floods in one area will be directed into areas where there will be scarcity of water. That will be the advancement of technology into the future, provided we have a clear-cut definition of moving along with the energies of the earth, with sustained life for the future generations, for the unborn and their children into the future. By doing so, we will be working along with the source code of life, of our world, of our earth, of our universe. Let's replenish our earth. There's a saying that there is a strength in numbers. If more people join a cause, then things start to work in the right direction. Now, it cannot be farther from the truth than the truth itself. The fact of the matter is, your objective must be along with the energies of the earth which sustain life, with the vibration of the earth which provides you with the oxygen, which provides us with the oxygen, the water. That is the truth of life. That is the reason why we are surviving. Only if we as a group, we as an individual, we as a society work in resonance with the energies of the earth, only then we are going to be successful. Then the concept of having numbers on your side, of numbers of people on your side, will quadruple in terms of the energies of the earth. Stories associated with the dark energy, with the fantasy stories, and whenever such fantasy stories absorbed into our mind, we should know that it is the surefire way to the greatest downfall in life. And it's not just for the temporary speck of lifespan on earth, it is also for the eternity of the soul. The eternity of the soul is being put into the greatest darkness of turmoil or hell, as we understand in different religions. We can have only meaning in our lives if we work with the energies of the earth, which sustain life with the oxygen that we breathe. That's the truth of our life. There cannot be anything else against it. Once we are working with the energies of the oxygen, the water, the rains, the systems of life on earth, our lives into the future are also blessed. Our lives at present are blessed. You might have problems in your life. You might have different kinds of problems coming into your life, but you're walking along with the source code of life. The tunnel that you are in has a bright side because you're working with a purpose, a mission. On the other side, if you're working with some kind of dark energy, the tunnel has no bright side. You're moving into more darkness. And it's just because of a foolish mindset. God has given us a bright intellect, to be one with the energy levels of the earth, which sustain life, to be with the source code of life, which makes us human, which just makes us different from other animals. Let's replenish our earth. There were two people working in two different countries. I do not want to go into specifics. One person was working in one European country. Another person was working in another European country. Both were given the task of maintaining the best of greenery within their country. Greenery along with flowers, along with nature, along with the industries, along with the highways, along with the infrastructure. The governments had directed this individual to come up with the best plan and implement it, to have the best gardens along with the roads, to have the best gardens along with the apartments in different areas within an apartment, just like the kitchen gardens. So, as both were given the task, one took it as a sincere effort to work with the energies of the earth, which sustain life. He did it with a purpose. He did it with a sense of purpose. So they started to develop the gardens within their countries. Both of them started. The other person who was given the task to develop gardens also started his work, but his objective was profit along with the gardens. He was more concentrating on trying to make a profit from the greenery, from the flowers, from the gardens, from the infrastructure associated with the gardens, and he was not interested in the energies of the earth which sustain life. So both of them started to develop their gardens along with the associates. He directed people. The person who worked along with the energies of the earth had a sincere dedication in his heart, mind and soul, and he was one with the gardens that he was developing. It was his heart, mind and soul which went into the gardens. He thought that the gardens that he was developing was a part of himself. While the gardens were being developed, there were certain problems which erupted in terms of the gardens being developed. There were certain diseases which affected the plants, the roses, the gardens and the associated trees and plants. The person who worked with the energies of the earth went on an inspection wherever he developed those gardens, wherever he had people to water, manure and maintain the gardens. He took it up on himself to go to every place and see that those gardens are developed as a personal routine, as a personal hygiene, just like how he ate and nourished himself with the best of food. He wanted the gardens to be developed with the best of manure, and he went around the area which he was given to develop the gardens, and he did it with dedication along with the energies of the earth. When there was disease for the plants, he made sure that he spent his time to study what kind of diseases affected the plant, and with a dedicated effort he made sure that the gardens were the most beautiful gardens within the area which they had given him, within the country which they had given him, within the cities within the country. The other person who was working on a profit motive developed those gardens initially and then gave it out as contracts to different people to do it just for the sake of developing gardens. Over a period of time, because his concentration was only on profits and contracts for the gardens, most of the gardens were just
a piece of show only, but was not maintained properly. There was no dedication within the staff to maintain it properly. There was weed, there were diseases, and the gardens within that country kind of depleted over a period of time, over a period of 5 years. The gardens of this person in Austria developed into all kinds of towns. And today when you go to Austria, you find the best of gardens when you drive into towns. Even there are gardens within cities. It's a part of nature. It's a part of the infrastructure. It's a part of the roads. It's a part of the buildings. The cities, the towns of Austria has developed with nature. And the beauty of nature is seen in the towns and the cities when we go, along with the infrastructure, along with the latest of development. This should be a model of development into the future. All of our development with technology, with the deepest of learning, with the quantum computers would be with the best of gardens, best of trees, the most beautiful of landscape, along with technology, developing into the future. Thereby, our technologies will have meaning with the essence of life, with the source code of life, with the oxygen that we breathe, with the water that we drink. Let's replenish our earth.
Today, let's talk about dreams, fantasies, and the so-called marketing of dreams and fantasies through different programs that we see, either on social media or either that we read, or either through television, or either through self-made fantasies and dreams which we follow according to what is being sold to us. Today, we understand that some of the biggest selling books are about dreaming something and then working towards goals and achieving it. But we must know that and be very fearful of our dreams. We must also be very cautious about our dreams, because any kind of dream which is only for the carnal self is a sure way of destruction for oneself, for the meaning of one's life on earth, for the being of one's life on earth, and for the being of the future. If you're going to have any kind of dream within the carnal desires of just like any other animal, but within a human body, it is the greatest insult to the greater resources which we have, the greatest faculties which we have in our mind, which is the ability of creativity in small, minute quantities with the source code of life, which makes us human. The only reason we are humans is because we have creativity. And we have to be absolutely apprehensive of our dreams. If you look at some of the most problems which people have gone through in life, the traps they have gone into in life, the criminals who are imprisoned, or anyone who is having a big misfortune in their lives, if you go back into the history, it's about their dreams and the fantasies which has been sold to them. And today, the marketing of dreams and fantasies have reached such a stage by which it is one of the easiest ways for people to make money or create wealth, by telling people just to imagine something, dream about something day and night, and then it will come to in place. The energies of the earth will conspire to make it happen in their lives. And there is no more foolishness, no more deprivation of the mind than such talk, which is being said and being fed to a large number of people. It's being thrown at us on the television. It has been given to us in the vision of going after goals. We must understand very clearly and very precisely that the dreams that we have in our mind, if it is not along with the energies of the earth which sustain life for the future generations, if it is not about creativity which helps the future in terms of the present, then
Our dreams are nothing but the greatest curse on our lives. Our dreams can only be meaningful. Our fantasies can only be meaningful. Our fantasies can prosper into health, wealth, and spiritual well-being only if it is with the energies of the earth which sustains life for the future generations. It will be ideas, maybe in terms of companies which help future generations, which help them thrive, and in doing so your present will be blessed. It will be areas and fields of work which you're working in which will help the future, and in turn your present will be blessed. No kind of dream and fantasy can be prosperous if it is only for yourself, or if it is only for ourselves, or if it's only for the carnal desires of the flesh. The meaning of the last day of our lives will have absolute importance and will have a greater picture only if our lives were measured by a contribution for the present and the future generations in terms of the energies which sustain life. Let's replenish our earth. Today let's talk about the understanding of time by humans. The earliest humans understood time by the evolution of day and night. When it was day, they knew that it was the beginning of the activities, which was maybe 100,000 years back. And the dawn of the night, they had to kind of protect themselves from other predators, so they built protection systems within the forest. Now there were some animals which kind of came into the forest area, and also it was a means by which they could trap some animals who were hunting for prey. One of the best means to hunt for prey in the olden times was to create traps for the predators who used to come looking for prey. So the humans at that time also created trenches around their living spaces. And there would be predators who would look for an easy opportunity to get into the space of the early humans. And they used to fall into those traps. And then they would become prey to the people whom they were preying, whom the predator was preying. Such is also the instance in our day, in our modern day. We look for opportunities sometimes, the easiest way to get things, and then we fall prey. It's the easiest way to fall prey to a bait which is laid out before us in terms of advertisements, in terms of fantasies within our mind, in terms of thinking that doing something will get us something big, but the only thing is we will receive will be the pit. But the movies that we see, the documentaries that we see, do not let us know that there's a pit waiting in store behind the fantasy story that is laid out before us. There are stories about people making it big in the stock markets. There are big displays of heists of gold from stores. But look into the next around 50 robberies which have happened in your area, which might be kind of high profile. Most of those people who are involved with such kind of behavior have landed themselves not just into prison, but they're moved into a pit which they cannot move out of, because they were driven by the entertainment programs that they have seen, the movies that they have seen, which kind of replayed within their mind. It's like a chime, it's like a ringing bell for them to act in a way by which they do it with a fantasy to go after, But there's a bait waiting for them to fall into the trap. There's a bait waiting for us also if we move with our carnal desires alone, and that we should understand 100%. If we are going with a desire to just satisfy our human desires, our human flesh desires, based on our immediate gains, we can be absolutely sure that we are going to fall into a trap at some point of time. And as we understood that the most sensible people on earth have made people run after money, because the money will come back to them. They've laid a bait. I'm not saying that they're bad, but that's the psychology of humans. The more you run behind an energy of money, the energy of money is such that it will consume, it will make the person running behind it a bait. And there is no way out. The only way by which we can have meaning in our lives is to follow the purpose. Make your life helpful for the future generations. Let our lives be one with the energies of the earth which sustain life, because that's the oxygen which makes you survive. And if you're going to work against the oxygen as a bait, the oxygen will prevail, because it is helping all systems of life on earth thrive and survive and evolve over millions of years. And you cannot work against the basic oxygen that you breathe. You have to work along with the energies of the life of the earth which sustain life. As we have understood, the oxygen that we breathe empowers us, keeps all of our cells alive. The water that we drink is oxygen again and hydrogen. So these are the basics of life. It's the energy of the earth. Let's replenish our earth.
The eagles in the sky are the most magnificent of birds, as we understand. It has the best of eyesight, as we know. It can spot the minute insect from kilometers away, as we understand. And also it can move into prey, which is much more than its size. But primarily, the eagle's prey is kind of rodents, on earth. It's either the mice, or even it can be any kind of smaller species. But more so, the eagle is known for the macro view of life. The eagle's viewpoint is not like the earth-moving species of life. As humans, we have evolved our thought process, and we can also think of movements like the eagle through an aircraft. We have devised the best and fastest of aircraft, and when we have an aerial view from a helicopter or an aircraft, we call it an eagle's viewpoint, which means that we have a larger picture of the earth. We have a macro view, not the micro view of things. One of the greatest differentiating factors among all other species of life and us humans is that we can have a macro picture of life. We can have an eagle's viewpoint of life. We can have an eagle's viewpoint of our purpose in our life. But unfortunately, the animal mindset within us, which dates back to 50,000 years, makes us think about day-to-day activities for our carnal desires alone, without thinking about the macro picture, the bigger picture of life, the bigger picture of prosperity in the true sense. When there's an opportunity to make money as fast as possible, we forget the macro picture of not just for the next 10 years or 50 years, but also for the future generations. We forget about it, and then we look into satisfying the immediate carnal desires. There were 7 people around 35,000 years back. They lived in a tribe, and there were 4 women and again 3 men.
And this particular tribe had the ability to think a little further than the other tribes. Now, this tribe was living in an area which was a pleasant area, which was quite close to the river and to a sparse forest, and it had kind of vegetation. They could make agriculture. They had animals. They had the cows, the goats, the sheep. They had their fishing implements. They had the cultivation. And the 7 people, which included 4 women and 3 men, and their children, which were more than 10 to 15 of them, maintained the place much better. There was another set of tribe which was looking for immediate gains. They were not focused on trying to develop the place, but they were focused on catching the smallest prey. If they would find a mice, they would catch the mice. If they would find a sheep, they would catch the sheep and then move from one place to the other. They had no objective about seeing the macro picture of life, seeing the life into 10 years from the day to day. So this people of 7 tribes, people and their family, they maintained the place so beautifully along with nature, and they grew and prospered along with nature within their systems. And also over a period of time, they had defense mechanisms so that they could protect themselves from predators and also from other tribes. They evolved the best of agricultural systems, the best of stone implements, the best of homes in the times then, which included the best of bamboo shoots, the best of leaves which covered their homes and gave them shelter. And over a period of the next 25 years, these tribes prospered, and they had the first stepping stone of the culture and traditions that we follow today as a town, as a city, as a developed culture. But the other tribe, who was trying to get food as fast as possible, hunting without any kind of sense for the future, having no eye view into the next 5 years, 10 years, they again moved into the forests. And they became one with all of the other species of life. They were forgotten over a period of time. And as humans going into the forest without a clear picture into the future made them a prey to other animals. And they extinguished themselves because they did not have an ability to work with the future, to have a clear sense about what will happen 5 years from today, and to make the stepping stones so that they could evolve themselves into the future and thrive and prosper along with their family, along with the people, along with nature, along with the cows, the goats, the sheep, along with the river and the fishing implements, and developing their homes. This was the first instance of a township. This was the first instance of creativity being one with humans and helping them evolve along with nature and prosper along with nature. Even today, we must follow the same system which was followed around 30,000 years back, 10,000 years back, or whatever it is. Our objective should be, in today's lifestyle, modern living, to live along with nature, prosper along with nature. Having gardens within our apartments, having garden spaces within our apartment, vegetation spaces within our apartments, makes our buildings one along with the natural systems of the earth. It is not just the beauty of the gardens, it's not just the beauty of the flowers, it's the energy that you are creating with your buildings, with your infrastructure, with your roadways, along with the energies of the earth which sustain life. All of our discoveries also into the future, into the next 10,000 years, must only be with the energies of the earth which sustains life. All of our architectures, all of our designs, all of our modern living, all of our scientific discoveries must move with the energies of the earth which sustain life for the future generations. Let's replenish our earth. There were 5 horses in a valley around 10,000 years back. Now within the valley, it was a kind of forest-like place, and it had streams of water flowing from the mountains. It had enough of grass. It had enough of vegetation so that the horses could have a good time feeding. As we know, the best of food for the horses is high quality grass. It's the best quality of water. So these 5 horses, 3 female and 2 male horses, were having good time within the valley. They had all of the natural resources which were there for them. As humans, if 5 humans were living in a valley, they would require much more in terms of food, lifestyle, water, and the natural resources. But the horses were tuned to nature. They could feed on the grasses, they could feed on the shrubs, they could feed on the best sources of water. And all of this food and water which the horses needed to survive and evolve were provided from within the valley, which was kind of vast. The valley was about 50 kilometers in length, surrounded by mountains, so horses could run around and enjoy themselves. But then on the other side, there were humans of the valley, and they were moving close to where the horses were stationed within the valley, were living within the valley, were prospering within the valley, were enjoying themselves for the past 7 to 8 years. There were around 8 to 9 humans around 10,000 years back who were searching for the best places of land, and they suddenly stumbled upon this place through a mountain, and they saw this huge valley of 50 acres, 50 kilometers, surrounded by mountains. And they thought to themselves that this was the most beautiful place for them to inhabit. And these 9 people, as they moved about, they spotted these horses. Now, since they were experienced in taming the horses, they had their own horses which were kind of tamed. So they started to move around with their horses and try to capture these 5 horses which were living in this valley for the past 7 years and growing, evolving, prospering, and having a good time along the natural systems of the earth. Now their objective was to capture these horses, tame them, and use them for the humanity and the human flourishing within the valley. They wanted to flourish their family. The 9 people were 4 men and 5 women. They moved into the valley, they built their houses with the horses, trees which the horses were feeding on. They in turn took the grass cultivation and started to make fields out of it. And then they had their horses riding to tame the other horses. They were able to capture all the 5 horses. And with their horses, they tamed these 5 horses. Now, this family of 9 people were very nice also in one sense. Although they tamed the horses, they did not threaten them, or they did not exploit the horses. They made their human settlement along with the energies of the earth. They grew their cultivation, and they fed the horses much more than what they were having prior. In prior times, the horses were feeding on their grass and feeding on the water from the mountains, which are absolutely natural. The horses were having a good time. But after capturing these horses and kind of taming them with their horses, the humans cultivated the lands and gave a lot of nourishment to the horses, which the horses did not feed otherwise. Also, their horses also were conditioned and tamed in a sense that they could move about in the 50 kilometers of space, and they had to come back for the food. And only at some point of time that the horses would take the humans along. So they cultivated a system by which the horses started to be dependent on the human population, which were around 9 people at the time, which were 5 women and 4 men. And because they had the vision to treat the horses along with the energies of the earth, the horses which were living in that valley for the past 7 to 8 years also started to like them. They started to like humans. And each of them started to love each other for what they could do together. That should have been the first beginning of humans and horses getting to like each other. And we know in history, humans and horses have been together in the most friendship mode. Horses have helped humans move thousands of kilometers. Horses have helped in wars. The greatest of conquests on earth were done with horses. And also the horses were kind of exploited by humans at a later time in terms of war machinery. But at the beginning, horses and humans evolved together, although the initial phase by which humans moved into the territory of the horse, they didn't like it. But since the humans were able to offer the horses something which they could not experience, and also give them better nutrition, and also cultivate their space, and also have the sense to move with the horses and give them the space, allow them to use the territory which they have been used to, and then also enjoy, prosper and evolve along with humans. That kind of mindset helped horses and humans move together with the energies of the earth which sustain life. This should be our attitude towards any kind of new findings that we may have. We are not supposed to engross on any kind of animal space, the space of the seas, the space of the forest. In case we move into such a space as humans, we might need the resources, but we must have the objective of helping those living beings, giving them a new experience, helping them evolve and thrive. That should be our objective. And also, while we do that, along with those living species, be it the whales, be it the dolphins, be it the sharks on the sea, be it the most wild animals within the Amazon forest, our objective is not to exploit. Our objective should be to prosper along with the systems of life, the wild creatures, all systems of life, the forests, the trees, the natural streams. And in doing so, we will prosper along with the earth. All of our future learning, all of our future advanced knowledge, the quantum computers, the greatest advancements of technology must be with the most important life sources on earth. The living beings, the wild creatures, as we see today, are our friend in terms of the energies of the earth. And once we help them evolve, thrive and succeed along with our success in the evolution of humanity, we will proceed towards the next phase of prosperity for the future generations. And in doing so, Our children will be blessed, and their children will have a better place to live on our precious earth. Let's replenish our earth.
In the world, they are so saying that persistence wins. Persistence towards an objective wins. This phrase can be truthful only if it is with the energies of the earth which sustain lives. Persistence with any other kind of energy other than the energy which sustains life is persistent towards complete downfall, towards complete downfall of oneself in the true sense of the word. There's a lot of nonsense being professed in the name of persistence. Persistence can also be another term for a kind of madness, for a kind of mental affliction, which is to be treated. Some of the most hardened criminals are hardened because they are persistent towards crime and they go from one crime to the other. It's all about the energy that they are in. And it's more of a foolishness. It's not just a foolishness, it's an affront to humanity as such. Persistence only with the energies of the earth which sustain life is meaningful for the future generations and for oneself. Any other kind of persistence is not persistence, but the most foolish way to destroy oneself. The problem is, the world coins the word persistence to achieve a goal, and people misplace it in their minds and go with the energy of darkness sometimes, following the carnal instincts. And then it's an absolute sure way to destroy oneself in terms of the meaning of the lives, in terms of the creative abilities. If we are pursuing any kind of objective within an objective of dark energy or a foolish energy, as we have understood before, there is no dark energy. You're either with the vibration of the universal force, or in one way or the other, we will be one with the energy of the universal force. We have understood that even the most dirty water moves into the soil and becomes fertile for the trees. All of the earth's flesh matter decays and becomes one with the soil. Now, persistence can only be meaningful when we are with the energies of the earth. Any other persistence is just foolishness, leading to garbage of destruction for oneself and one's soul. And if there is anyone who is within that persistent energy of the dark force, if you have told them the right way to go about their lives, but if they're still persistent, they're pursuing a field of total deprivation, a field which is not human. They're moving with the dark energy, and absolutely you can be sure that that dark energy, or so-called dark energy, will become one with the dust of the earth at some point of time and will turn back into the vibration of creation. Let's replenish our earth. If you look into the sea, the oceans, the deeper part of the oceans, and the fishes, and the life systems within the oceans, which includes the coral reefs and all other kinds of species, which excludes fishes, you will find that it is absolutely colorful. The best of fashion designers on earth have taken their fashion designs from nature, from natural colors. We should know that some of our most inspirational paintings, artwork, which has a lot of color, is from nature. If you look at some of the fishes, they're so beautifully marked, which even the greatest of fashion designers, the greatest of artists, will find it difficult to get such kind of artwork done. The spasm of colors, the flow of the colors, along with the beauty of the fish. It is completely wholesome. It is not colors which are completely unrelated. Those are colors which are completely related to each other, which contrast but complements each other. It's one of the most beautiful of designs. And we should know that some of these most beautiful designs that we see in our architecture, in our art, in our buildings, is from nature. It's from those fishes. It's from those birds. Some of the greatest aircrafts designed is from the fishes that you see gliding on water, the starfish. Some of the greatest birds which glides on air. Some of the best navigational systems which move underground, which underneath the sea is made by watching some of the best life forms which glide under the oceans, which move under the ocean with least of friction. And such is the gift of nature to humans. We should know that some of the most advanced systems of navigation on Earth, or in the air and underneath the sea, is inspired from nature. But why did the fishes, the birds, the natural colors that we see in animals, in birds, in the sea creatures, in the river fishes, in the flowers that we see, why did it evolve into such beautiful sights within nature for us to enjoy the beauty of it? Why couldn't it be something else? Why couldn't it be just some plain color which might not be as attractive? We must understand that the energies of the earth is about creativity, is about evolution to attract. Every species wants to attract the opposite sex. Over a period of time, the evolution has helped it display beautiful colors within its skin, within the outer part, so that it can attract the other mate within its own species. But that is not just all. It's also an addition of color within the ocean. When you find your neighbor having the best of colors, attracting the best of mates, it is the beautiful, sensual energy of the universe and display within the flowers, within the ocean life, within the birds, the most beautiful of birds. It's adding color to our earth. It's adding color to the design of the sensual energy within the earth, which provides life to every living being on earth. If there was no sensual energy, as we have understood before, we wouldn't be breathing oxygen. Why should the earth give us oxygen? Why should we have water if there was no sensual energy within the universe? If the earth was about dark energy, why would it help us live? Why would it help the foolish mindset which says that they are in some kind of dark energy, which is an insult to humanity? There cannot be dark energy in the sense that you're working against the oxygen that you breathe. It is the most foolish part of a human to try to work against the oxygen that we breathe, to work against the water that we drink. Because the same oxygen is keeping the dark person or dark energy or the foolish mindset alive. All of the cells in anyone who says they're with the dark energy, all of the cells in the body are working with the energies of the earth which sustain life. At some point of time, that foolish energy or the mindset which says that they're in some dark force will start to vibrate with the energies of the universe, which sustains life for every living being on earth. Let's replenish our earth. A country is recognized, a country is known, a country is born, a country is given the title of a country along with the energies of the earth, a country which gives importance to the life-nourishing systems of the earth, a country which respects the basic oxygen that every life form breathes, a country which respects the basic water that every life form needs to survive within a country which has the best of natural rhythms of the earth, the seasons, the rains, which has the best of plants, trees, the best of gardens. A country which acts against people and energies, which works against the basic oxygen that their children breathe. A country which takes action against dark energies, the so-called dark energies, which works against the basics of water, which the future children will drink. A country which has the best of highways, the best of infrastructure, the best of roadways, the best of gardens, the best of forests, trees, the best of technology, the latest of technology, the deepest of learning, the most advanced systems of knowledge. Also, a country which is strong in defense of the natural systems of the earth. As we know that the greatest of countries on earth, the most superior countries on earth, are not just countries who think of goodness for its citizens alone, who are not just looking for the best of water or oxygen. They know that the oxygen, the water, and every infrastructure and the source code of life which provides the best of our earth's nourishing energies for the country needs to be protected against energies which work against the basic systems of life, the unborn children of the future of the country. As we know that nearly 99.9% of humanity have the instinct to protect the children. It is there in all life forms, among all animals. Be it the most deadliest of animals on earth, they would protect their children. Be the most corrupt people, as we call them on earth, be it in any sphere of life, they have that instinct. It's the godly instinct to protect the children. And protecting the children into the future is to ensure the best quality of oxygen, the best quality of water. But there are systems, there are people who are with a madly energy, an energy which makes no sense, and that is just 0.01% of the earth's population, and they need to be dealt with. As we know, the strongest of countries has defense systems. And what is those defense systems? It is a kind of dark energy meant to protect the future generations. If any country crosses the line in depleting the natural resources of another country, be the best of oxygen or the water or of any life system, the most advanced countries on earth will act The most respected countries on earth will act. And moreover, the deepest instincts of humanity will act against those energies. Let's replenish our earth.